Chapter 15. Consummation. When man began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. Chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. Lovely. Simjaza looked at his bride standing just outside the tent with satisfaction. He wrinkled his aquiline nose as he glanced at the other daughters of Eve in the vicinity. Even though all the women wore their finest tonight for the ceremony, none could compare, far superior to them. Indeed, nothing but the best for the Benai Elohim. After that first night, the girl was resistant. She begged and pleaded to return to her father. Her weakness repulsed him. Simjaza chuckled as he remembered how he'd planned to destroy her after the child was born. But then it came to him in a moment of clarity. How could I have been so stupid? Of course the girl wouldn't want to go through with it if she couldn't see her role in this great plan. I was right to change my strategy. Instead of cruelty and force, Simjaza became gentle and tender. It worked. Dear one, fear not, and do not be dismayed, for you will be great among all women. You will be honored for ages to come as the mother of the redeemed ones. No, my sweet, you shall no longer be a lowly Sabasi, but a goddess among women. They shall all pattern themselves after your beauty and courage. He felt the now familiar surge of power to his words, her wild abandonment to his control. Simjaza fixed his gaze on her and smiled as he examined the curve of her flesh outlined in the delicate robe fashioned just for this eve. She smiled back. Azazel, my friend, called Simjaza, raising his hand over the excited voices in the crowded tent. Excellent artistry. You've worked wonders with the preparations. Ah, indeed, Captain, said Azazel. The raw materials are somewhat crude here, but with the right techniques, a most favorable outcome is possible. See what I mean? Said Azazel as he lifted the thin silk-like covering of the young woman clinging to his side, revealing a long length of leg and that which should be covered. The girl squealed in protest, then giggled. Azazel, said Captain Simjaza, control yourself. And just why should you have all the fun, eh, Captain? No one's taking away your fun, Azazel, said Simjaza, but there is a time for everything. So when is my time? After me, said Simjaza as he placed his hand firmly on Azazel's shoulder. Naima will be the first. Well, with all due respect, Captain, said Azazel, grabbing the hand on his shoulder and removing it slowly. You'd better hurry because I won't wait much longer. Now, my good Benai, said a craggy voice from behind. Let there be no discord among us. Simjaza turned his head, masking his annoyance with a grin when he saw the source. Simjaza opened his arms to his bride's father and brother, who approached carrying two larks. Greetings, Father Lamech, Tubal-Cain. Does this sun's sleep find you well? I am as full as the light of the moon this eve, now that my Naima's time has come, said Lamech. And not to worry, honored Azazel. Your happiness will soon be like that of your captain. I have spoken with the elders of Cain. Good. The news is most pleasing indeed. So I take it our little demonstration was effective, asked Simjaza. Yes, they understand the truth of the prophecy now. They are ready to give their daughters in marriage. Excellent, said Simjaza as he winked at Azazel. See, my comrade, your time is nigh. My dear Father Lamech, said Simjaza, placing a hand on Lamech's shoulder. How soon might these other marriages take place? Why, I see no reason to delay that which is wonderful, said Father Lamech, as he placed one of his packs on the ground next to Tubal-Cain. Well, that is, as long as the Benai perform their part of the covenant. The Benai will most gladly reveal the hidden wisdom to every man who gives his daughter in marriage, but we do require a demonstration of faith. And just what kind of demonstration do you suggest, honored one? Let all who are willing give their daughters for consummation of the covenant tonight after Naima's ceremony. Aye, indeed, said Father Lamech with a grin as he nudged Simjaza's side playfully with his elbow. I see the sons of God have much in common with the sons of Adam. This will be a most fruitful covenant indeed. Let it be as you have spoken. But first, allow me to bring the glad tidings to the people. Simjaza's eyes narrowed at Father Lamech's comparison. Sons of God and sons of Adam alike? Utterly ridiculous indeed. How dare this foolish man compare my determined focus on the great plan and clarity of mind to the mere fleshly longings of these? Still, Simjaza smiled broadly and gave a slight nod. His foolishness serves me well. As you wish, Father Lamech, said Captain Simjaza with a graceful motion of his hand towards the eager faces filling the tent. We shall begin the ceremony after your announcement. Father Lamech hefted his sack upon one shoulder and strode outside the tent, tapping his staff forcefully onto the smooth stone-paved path as he went, not bothering to see if Captain Simjaza, Tubal-Cain, and the others followed. The effects of the muddy Sopani mixture Tubal-Cain had forced down his throat were complete now. The horrible cramping and fogginess were just a faint memory now. Ah! Lamech turned in a semi-arc as he looked up at the earthen steps of El Tava, teeming with kinsmen, then to his right at Tubal-Cain, who had just rushed to his side. Father Lamech lifted his large staff, the pride of his tribe, into the air and inhaled deeply of the sweet, fragrant air filling the night, as if he could suck in the satisfaction of this moment forever. The chattering ceased as they noticed the elder residing at the circle of honor. Only 2 lone drum beats stood out as an inattentive childling was hushed and tugged away by his ear from his whispered a Sabasi woman as she nearly tripped over the length of her coarse tan covering in her haste. Most sorry indeed, she whispered again, disappearing into the crowd with the childling in tow. Now there was complete silence. Father Lamech waited and savored the moment. Ah, good, good. They can feel it too. The presence of the Ancient One fills this place. Father Lamech lowered his staff and raised his voice. Hear me, O sons of Adam and daughters of Eve. You have chosen well this eve, and the Ancient of Days has heard your cries. On this night, the fullness of the prophecy begins. Our daughter Nema, the daughter of Lamech, the son of Methusael, the son of Mahujael, the son of Arad, the son of Enoch, the son of Cain, shall be joined with the most honorable Benai Elohim, Captain Simjaza, a son of the Most High. Lamech paused while a few cheers erupting from the crowd overwhelmed the sound of his voice. He raised his hand and began again. Through this union the seed shall come. Let us rejoice and be exceeding glad this eve, for our redemption is nigh, and we shall. This time an enormous wail sliced through Son's sleep, cutting Father Lamech's words off completely. The longing of that sound pushed the yearning people to the edge as others responded with claps, cheers, and groanings unknown. Father Lamech stared wide-eyed at his people, these sons and daughters of Cain, too long rejected and outcast, too long waiting. One tear escaped the fierce dark iris and trickled down the craggy-lined face, staring at the full moon. The soft light cast a glow about the rigid figure below, now leaning on his staff. That light became brighter as Simjaza and his men stepped out of the tent and surrounded Father Lamech. Yes, said Father Lamech loudly, silencing the exuberant shouts. Now it has come. We shall be redeemed. But Father Lamech thrusted his staff into the air once more. But there are some among us who still do not believe, even though the truth has been revealed. Believe me, it saddens me greatly to tell you that our own Lita, my faithful Sabasi, was one who lacked the faith to receive this great promise. Father Lamech paused and looked throughout the crowd, setting his singular gaze on familiar faces. Then he swung sharply to his left, where his wives Ada and Zillah stood hovering near Mother Azura, who sat with the other gulls. They held his gaze unblinking, but moved an inch or two closer together. Yes, it is the truth, unfortunate as it may be, that not all have received this wondrous good news with gladness. I myself was attacked this eve by the one who would have been Nema's covering had not the Ancient One revealed his wisdom to me. Father Lamech paused, while the astonished kinsman responded, Attack an elder of Cain? 'Tis a Fosh too indeed. A disgrace in the face of the Almighty it is. O sons and daughters, said Father Lamech, the Ancient One was with me, and I was not overcome. Using the mind he gave me, I bested the cursed fool. See here! With one fluid move, Father Lamech swung the heavy pack from his shoulder high into the air and pulled the covering off. Not a soul spoke as the lifeless eyes of Lita stared into the dark, dangling precariously by a long brown plait in Lamech's fist. "Lita!" shrieked an older woman in the back before a thick, heavy hand clamped her mouth shut and drug her up the steps of El Tava, away from the gathering. "That fool of a man brought sorrow to his own mother," said Lamech, shaking his head. "With his ignorance and bitterness, let us all learn from his mistake." Lamech stared again at Zillah and Adah, who were now cowering behind Mother Azura. "Hear my voice, you wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech, for I have slain to my hurt. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold." Father Lamech perused the crowd triumphantly, satisfied when no one else said a word. "A fool shall not be suffered who tries to darken the eyes of Lamech. May all who come against the prophecy be even as Lita." The bodiless head and dropped it back into the sack on the ground. "Now let us forget the sorrow of unbelief and embrace the promise to come, for the elders of Cain have wrought a great victory this eve in spite of the sons of Seth." Father Lamech walked toward the first row of the earthen benches. "Sons of Cain, hear me now. The sons of God have agreed to receive any daughter of Eve for the consummation of the covenant during the high time of the full moon, this sun sleep. In return, each family partaking of the union will receive the hidden wisdom of the Ancient One from the Son of God joined to his family." "How is this to be this eve?" called a hoarse male voice from the crowd. "Right that is, and what of the preparations for the ceremony of union?" shouted a strong, high-pitched voice from the right. "There is no time to prepare the coverings for all the daughters. Why, we can't—" "One moment, please," said Father Lamech, holding a hand out in protest. Now, Mother Azura, do not let your heart be troubled. The good Benai do not only grant us their presence, but they bear gifts as well." As if on cue, two Sabasi, holding a large tray between them, rushed forward and placed the load gently on the ground at Lamech's feet. "Mother Azura, if you please, come forward and examine these coverings." The lean woman stood, and her long, thick braid fell to the ground as she walked slowly towards the tray. She gently tossed a long, thin swath of gold cloth over her shoulder as she lifted the garment up for inspection. Her eyebrow rose as she snatched the fabric tightly between her hands and then stroked the length of it. "Eh, mother, it is pleasing, is it not?" "Where did you get this?" she asked. "I have never seen any tribeswoman with cloth so fine. Why, not even a wand skill is equal to this." "Not where, Mother Zura, but whose skill is that of the Benai Elohim. It is the first of the hidden wisdom to come. They will instruct us as the Ancient One has always intended." "Can they help us find food?" Father Lamech opened his mouth, but then stopped when he felt a strong hand on his shoulder. "Father Lamech, allow me," said Captain Simjaza. "Allow me to put their minds at ease." "Aye, let it be so, son," answered Lamech with a nod. "Not only can we show you how to find food that is suitable to eat," said Captain Simjaza with a grin, "but we know how to make it taste better." Peals of laughter spread through the crowd. Called Father Mehuel as he stood holding a bowl up in the air. "His meals are better than that of our eldest Sabasi, and they are restoring too." "That is just the beginning, sons of Adam," said Simjaza. "We can show you how to make stronger dwellings and protect yourselves from the rebellious beasts of the field." "Oh, that would be most welcome indeed," said one of the younger elders, who stood holding out his maimed hand. "Got that, trying to gather berries from the edge of Avalon Forest. The creatures are becoming more hostile with the passing of each light." "Aye, for truth, it would be good to tame them," said another man with a daughter at his side. But what about his hand? Can you do anything for that?" "Yes, we can. We are skilled healers, and we still bear the invincible essence of the Most High. Our offspring will possess it too," said Simjaza, raising a hand. And for the rest of you, we can share the hidden wisdom that heals. Remember your own Tubal-Cain was restored because of it. Samjaza walked towards Father Lamech and stood in between him and Tubal-Cain. Now, are there fathers among you with any more concerns? Well, there is just one, said a deep, booming voice from the rear seating. Head swung around to hear the man speak. Yes, said Samjaza, eyeing the bear of a man. How many daughters can you take? How many do you have? Said Samjaza with a hearty laugh. Samjaza opened his arms wide to the crowd. Let all who are willing come. What is... They're here, said Azam. What? Said Delmar, shaking his head as he scoured the faces of the people coming and going in and out of the tent. No, they can't be. I don't see any. It's got to be coming from somewhere else. Let's go and... No, said Azam. He grabbed Delmar's elbow to stop. Look again. Look at their faces. Don't be absurd, Azam. You know very well there are no fallen to look at. I know fallen when I see them, and I don't see... What? Oh? Delmar stumbled backwards as a young woman rushed past him and instinctively reached for one of the auru leaves tucked inside his garment. What was... Did you see that? I knew it. But how? How did you? Why couldn't I see a thing at all until... I knew you couldn't. Well, you wouldn't know because you haven't been where I've been. Although I didn't expect it to see it here. At least not so soon. See, what, Azam? What was that? Well, Azam started slowly as he focused in on the face of an older man standing next to a young woman squirming beneath his firm grip. I've heard it called the darkening of the eye. I noticed it when we were on the pillars. That's how it begins. Remember the girl who was with Azazel? For a moment, I thought I saw it, and then it was gone. I wanted to be sure before alarming you. That's why I needed to get close. Azam, listen, said Delmar, looking around cautiously, trying to see what Azam saw. I don't know what this darkening of the eye is, but that girl who went by me, well, it looked like she had two faces, and one looked like, I don't know what it was, but then it was gone. So that didn't look like just dark eyes. In fact, her eyes were dark brown anyway, so I don't know what you... No, said Azam, it's not like that. The darkening of the eye, it's not about the color of the eyes. It's what's inside the eyes. Before the dulling comes, the eyes become dark. The spark, the life inside the eyes, goes dim. Then finally, if the one who succumbs does not return, well, what you saw in that girl happens. You know what's... Yes. What? What can we do? We have to stop this. We can... No, Delmar, said Azam. She is fallen. No, Azam, she is just a girl. Surely there is something we can do. No, there isn't. She is under their control now. You mean the face I saw was... said Azam as he edged Delmar to the back side of the tent, away from the bustle. The other face you thought you saw was a fallen. But how could they be inside a human like that? I didn't think that was possible. Why do they not merely pass through like us? They are still spirits. That's true, said Azam. But if a human allows them or embraces their signature, they can stay. They can stay inside and cling to their being as long as they like. Yes, I suppose, but can't the girl just get rid of it, make it pass through? That's just the point, said Azam. He clenched his jaw and tightened his grip on the dagger beneath his cloak. She doesn't want to. But why not? Why would she want it around? They stink to high heavens. She would be a fool to embrace it. Anyone would. Delmar, said Azam as he turned towards the girl who was standing just a few feet away. She doesn't even know it's there. Azam, whispered Delmar. We know it is there and we can see it. Yes. Can it see us?